Yesterday we learned till what are these interactions, and now we can quickly know what are like how type conversions happens inside JavaScript and what are the operators. And if you have time, we can know what is the comparisons. Okay. So first of all, we'll know like these conversions. Okay. So So most of the time, operators and functions automatically convert values them to a right type. Means, for example, alert is there, which will be converting the value, whichever it is, to a string. Okay. So, and like if we are like automatic conversion means like even if it is another type of value, whether it's a string or any other type, it will try to convert it into a right type. Means, let me show once. Okay. For example, we have two in string here. Like for example, two in string here, and I am trying to divide it with two. Okay. So even if we have given the string here, like it's automatically converting it to a number so that it can divide with number. Okay. So the magic here happening because of this operation. So we are trying to do division with like which is like here 2 is a string, but it can convert to a number because we know that 2 is a number. So it will try to convert the string to a number. So like wherever there are mathematical operation, it will try to convert to a number apart from the concatenation. As already we know, already we have discussed regarding this. So like apart from this concatenation, because for concatenation in JavaScript, we use it for uh, like to patch the things. Concatenation means not the addition here, like except addition for all the other operations, it will try to convert. Okay, because here we for strings, how we use it, like for example, hello is there, and we want to append with how are you. Okay. So here, like we use this plus operator for the concatenation of strings. So any of those are strings, then it will be trying to append those. Okay. Like, but if it is any other operations like subtraction or division or multiplication, then it will try to convert these into a integer or a number. Okay. So string conversions happens like in some cases, like for example, alert value, like does it show the value? Okay. For example, value is true. We know that true means it's a boolean. Okay. So, and then we try to convert this particular value to string by passing it to a string object, which is out of the box. Whenever you want to convert it into a string, you can use this or any other methods. Here they're using this string. And then if you try to get the value of that type, it will be a string. Okay. So here it's not a proper example, but I'll tell you. How I can say like yeah, like string conversion. Let me execute this example and what I think. So here value is boolean, so I'm getting boolean, and here the value is string, so I'm getting string because it's after conversion. But here, like here we are just trying to know how to do the conversion. Like for example, for value, it is true is there. So we got it as a boolean. But if you want to convert this value to a string, then you can pass into a string, or what you can do, you can just append it with double quotes so that it can convert a string. So whenever you try to check the type, it will be a string, obviously, because we converted from boolean to string. Okay, like that for numeric conversions as well we can do. Like how we can do, like if there are any mathematical operations, it will be automatically doing. But still, if you want to explicitly do that, for example, str is holding 1 2 3, okay, which is string. But if you want to convert it to a number, you have to pass with number. Like number is like inbuilt function, you can say. Okay, where if you pass it to str, then num will be converting to a number, and if you check the type, it will be a number. So let me show what they are trying to do. Okay, for example, var number equals to triple one is there. Okay. Okay, so if I try to add this num with any other values, it will just append it. As we know, it will just append it. But whenever, even if we get string, we want to explicitly convert it to a number, and then we want to do the addition or subtraction. So make sure that it should be converted to a number, because sometimes we may get the values as a string, but it's still a number. So in those cases, what we'll do, uh, I'll we can use number function, which is available out of the box, in order to convert any type of values to a number. So I can pass this number, and whatever it returns, it will be storing. So num equals to number of num. So if I try to print the num here, it came only 111 without quotes. Okay, without quotes. That means it converted to a number. Still, we can check what type of data it is for the num. It should be a number, because we have converted explicitly using number function. And then we can do the mathematical operations on this number. Okay, for example, num plus 11. Okay, so num var num2 equals to num plus 11. Then if you print this num2, then 1 to 2 is getting printed, because it's actually adding those numbers. So if you directly try to do with a string, what will happen? We will be resulting into unwanted results, which will be just placing the whatever the value beside it, because it's a string. In those cases, what we need to do, we have to convert this particular string or any other type to a number, and then we can print that particular value. Okay, so, and if you try to convert any other string which are not convertible, like uh, any string, so this is some string, and if you try to convert, what will happen? It will be resulting as a not a number, NaN. Okay, so if it is convertible, it will be converting. But if there are any invalid numbers, for example, 1 2 3 z is not a valid number, then it will be saying not NaN. But in cases of true or false, for true, it will be considering it as a 1, and for false, it will be considering it as a 0. When you try to convert any Boolean value, like if it is a true, then it will be 1, and if it is false, then it will be 0. Okay. And few things you can even convert to Boolean values, like if you try to do Boolean of 1, it will be true, and like vice versa. If it is number true, it will be 1. Number false, it will be 0, right? Same way, if it Boolean of 1 or any positive number, it will be a true. Like any other number apart from 0, it will be true. And if it is 0, then only it will be false. Okay. For strings also, if any value, if it is there, it will be true. And if it is an empty value, then it will be false. Okay. So we can know what are the basic operators, like we have unary, binary, and tertiary operators. We will know what it is. Okay. So like normal operators are like addition, multiplication, subtraction. We know all those, but still we have unary, binary, and operand. Okay, so operand is something uh, like here, for example, 5 into 2 is there. Okay, so here 5 is one operand, left operand, and 2 is right operand. So whatever the multiplication or any operation being held with which values, that we call as operand. Okay, and operator is here multiplication is an operator. Okay, so these are just terms we will be using, that's why I'm explaining. Okay, so here what we are doing, we are defining x equals to 1, and what I'm doing, I'm assigning x equals to minus x. Minus x means what I'm doing, whatever the value of x, I'm just negating it. Like negating means I'm keeping the minus before it. So whatever the value, if it is there, so if I try to print this value, it will be coming as -1. So here, if you see here, we are using only one operand. Okay, so one operand, which is x, and I'm applying only minus for only one operand. That's why we call it as unary. Okay, so unary means only applying to one operand. Okay, binary means for example, y minus x is there. So here y is one operand and x is two operand. The subtraction is happening between y and x. So in this case, it's a binary. Okay, like it's between two. So it's only for one. So that's why we call this as unary. Plus x, like x equals to plus x, it will also be a unary. Okay. So if it is applying to one, then it will be unary. If it is applying between two, then it will be binary. Okay. So in JavaScript, we have these type of operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, remainder, and exponential. We know what is addition, subtraction, and multiplication and division. You might have also know what is remainder. For example, you might know, if I divide 20 with 5, I'll get 4. That we know exactly what we will be getting. If I try to divide 22 by 5, I'm getting 4.4. That 4.4 is something like with the decimal points. Okay, sometimes we don't want the decimal points exact values, but we we will know, like when like 5 4s are 20, so we left with 2, right? So whatever the left part is there, that is a reminder. So in those cases, we can use this operand, which is percentile operand. So whatever the remainder it is remaining after dividing it, that will be the reminder. Okay, so if you want to use somewhere those reminders, you can use it. And exponential is, it is 2 to the power of 5, like that. Okay, so exponential is something like 2 to the power of 3. Then you can just write this multiplication operator twice, so that you can get this exponential. Like here, 2 to the power of 3 is nothing but 2 into 2 into 2. Okay, instead of writing multiple times, how many times you want to do this multiplication with 2, you can just write like this: 2 into 3. Okay, that is one operator which is available in JavaScript. So which is like similarly like this: 2 to the power of 4 is 2 into 4. Okay, we can even do with the fractions. 2 to like 4 to the square root of 4, which is 2, right? Similarly, you can apply the powers in the fractions as well. Okay, any doubts still here? Okay, I'll continue. So whenever you want to do string concatenation with plus, okay, so it just merges them or concatenates them. Like if any one of them is a string, any of the left or right operand, if it is a string, then it will be just merges or concatenates it. Okay, as we already know it, and as we have seen it multiple times. My plus string is my string. Okay, 1 plus 2 is 1 2. 2 plus 1 is 2 1. Okay, because one of them is string, which is in quotes. Okay, here the result will be like 2 plus 2 plus 1 is 2 plus 2 is 4, because two of them are like, because it applies to two first, like for the left and right, because it's a binary operation. So 2 plus 2 is 4, and when you see the right side operand, it's a string. So what it does, it will be saying 4 1, not 2 to 1, because first it will be applying the addition and then it concatenates or merges them. Okay, so here what happens, 1 is string and 2 is number. So if you like here it's a string. Okay, so it will be 1 2, and here if you see 1 2 will also be a string. So as 1 2 is string and 2 is now even though it's number, because left side it will be a string, so the result will be 1 2 2. So if you understand how it is reading the code, then you can know what will be the output. Okay, but in case of subtractions and divisions, it will automatically convert it to a number. Okay. So there will be a unary plus, but there won't be any effect on the numbers. Like if it is 1 or 2, plus 1 or plus minus 1 or anything, it will be the same result. There won't be any result in change of value. But in some cases where there is strings or where there is a boolean values, what it will do is it will try to convert this particular thing, whatever it is there, to a number. Okay, so it is we use this as a shortcut in order to convert a number instead of using a number function. So if you just put plus before it, it will try to convert this to a number and it will be resulting you a number. Okay, plus true is 1. That means because true we know it is already 1, but here we are trying to convert that particular true to number, right? Same way here, it will try to convert this to a number, and because it's a 0, it will result as 0. So here it's 2 and 3. We already know this. It will be resulting at 2. But here, if you try to see what they are trying to do, they are using plus before this apples and plus before this oranges. Okay, so what they are giving the space between those, and then they are applying this unary operator. So we know what it will try to convert. It will try to convert a number plus operator, right? Only single unary operator. So plus 2 is, it will be a number. So number 2 and then again number 3, it will be an addition. So the result will be 5. Okay, so like that it will be applying. So there will be a precedence. What should be run first and what should run next when there are complex operations being carried. First, whichever in the bracket will be applying first, and then the multiplication will be done. So then the division. So you can see which has the more precedence. Precedence means which one will run first. Okay. First unary plus, then negotiation. All these you can know. Okay. So assignment operator we call, which is equal to, okay, which is very low priority, which will be running at the last, because operations has to go first, which is like because we do this operations first and then assign the value, because that's why this equal to operator has less precedence, means that particular assignment happens at the end after doing all these multiplications and additions. Assignment always returns a value. That means uh, it will uh, like for example, if it is uh, it, returning a value means for example I can say it uh, uh, like for example in this example a equals to b plus 1, right? So as we know, equal to will run last and bracket runs first. In this bracket, whatever it is, it will run. Okay. So b plus 1. So b plus 1 is 2 plus 1. It is 3. A equals to 3. Okay. We know a equals to 3. Okay. So after a equals to 3, because it's we are using equal to operator, so this a will return whatever the value it is holding. So now the a is holding 3, right? Because this assignment operator, whichever it is there, it will be returning the value which it's holding. So a will be containing 3, so 3 minus 3 will be 0, so which will be in C. Okay, and in a it will hold the value. Okay, that holding the value means it returns the value whenever you try that. So that's why a is holding the value of 3 and C is holding the value of 0. So these are not much very important. If you have time, you can go through this, but whatever is important, I'll know. So we have increment and decrement operators, like which is plus plus. Okay, plus plus increases the value by 1. So if there is counter, if I you like we can normally what we'll do, counter equals to counter plus 1, right? Instead of it, we can just write counter plus plus. And if we try to alert that value, it will be initially it was 2, then after increment it is 3. The decrement, it will be decreasing the value by 1, which is 2 minus 1 is 1. So it will reduce the value or increase the value by only 1, which is same as like counter equals to counter plus 1 and counter equals to counter minus 1. So there is a difference between pre-increment and post-increment. Okay. So we are seeing here what is counter plus plus and what is plus plus counter. Okay. So there is a slight difference. Okay. Like it differentiates like where you are using it. Like counter plus plus, what it will do is it will be returning the value what counter is having first, and then it will be incrementing. Okay, but plus plus counter is first it will be incrementing and then it will holding. So in order to know exactly what it does, I'll show in the console. Okay. For example, var count equals to 0. So I'll write count plus plus. Just I'll write. Okay. So even if I do count plus plus, the value which this particular statement it is returning is 0, because this post increment is like name itself says post increment. That means it will be returning the value which it contains first, and then it will be incrementing. So first it's returning the value as 0, and then it is trying to increment it. So in order to see what this count is holding, we can just press count. So it is holding 1. So it is incrementing the value, but before incrementing it, it is actually like returning the value which is it is holding. So because it is holding 0, first it will be returning 0 and then it will be incrementing. So if you try to see what is this count is holding at the end, it will be 1. Okay. So in pre-increment where plus plus count, first it will be incrementing the value and then it will be uh, returning the value. So, so if I use plus plus count, so as it will be incrementing first, that means it will be incrementing by 1. 1 plus 1 will be 2. So after incrementing, only it will be returning the value in case of pre-increment. As the name itself says, pre-increment means it will be incrementing first. That means the value or a result will be 2 first, and then it will be returning the value which it's holding. Okay, so we got it as the 2, and still if you check the value of the count, it will be 2. So did you get the difference? What is the post increment and pre increment? Is there any doubts here? Okay, I'll just go to the next slide. So in this example, what they're trying to do is like there is a counter of 1 and they are doing this multiplication. So as it's a pre-increment, so it will be incrementing by 1 first and then it will be returning the value. Okay. So 1 plus 1 incremented by 1 will be 2 and as after incrementing only it will return the value. So 2 into 2 is 4. Let's check how it will be happening with post increment. So we have this counter of 1 and as it's a post increment, it will be returning the value first. As counter contains 1, it will return 1 first. So 2 into 1 result will be in 1, but counter value will be become 2, but after returning the value. That means the counter will return first 1 and then it will try to increment the value. So 2 into return value is 1. So 2 into 1 is 2. Okay. So we have this bitwise operations. We don't we don't use it. So I'm just skipping it. You can check like if you have time, what is yours, you can check those. Okay. So we came to comparisons. Okay. Comparisons operators are less than or greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or double equal to. So these comparison operators will tell you like which is less than what or which is greater than or what, or it is less than or equal to. Like compare, like we can compare, right? So whenever we are comparing, we will be comparing who is greater or what is greater. So here any comparison operator will be returning either true or false. That means it says whether whatever the condition or comparison, it will say it is yes or no, like that. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is I know 2 is greater than 1. Okay. Okay. So that is a correct statement. Okay. Any comparison operation we will do whether to know whether it's a correct or not, right? So we have to know whether 2 is greater than or not. Okay. It says true. And in case of greater, if it plays less, so I say 2 is less than 1. Like you will say that's a false statement. So that's why it is resulting in a false. So any comparison operators we apply between any two operators, that will be resulting in either true or a false. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to tell. Okay. So I always, if it is like 2 is greater than 1, we know it. That's why it returns true. 2 is equal to 1. 2 is not equal to 1. 2 is different and 1 is different. So it returns false. 2 not equals to 1. As we know, 2 is not equal to 1. So this is the operation we use in order to check whether if it is not equal. So 2 is not equal to 1. we know that that is the correct statement. So it will be returning true. So like that, any comparison between any of two variables or anything, it will be returning always true or a false. Okay. So we have done this in numbers. Like we don't do the string comparison, but if we had to do it, then it will be doing based on the dictionary order. So based on the dictionary means first it will be comparing each character by character, we can say. We know Z position will be 26 and A position will be somewhere first, because 26 is greater than 1, right? So it will be true. So here glow and glee is there. So GL is matching, and there is O and E. So O comes next, E comes first. So this is a true statement. Okay. The same way for B as well. So there is something here, E, and there is nothing here. So this is a true statement, like that. So whenever you are trying to compare, so if one of the value is number, then it will try to convert it to a number. Okay, because at one hand side we have the number. Then because 2 is greater than 2, it will try to convert it to a number, and then it will return true. Here 0 once becomes 1, and it will return as a true statement because 1 is equal to 1. And here true is there. If you try to convert true, it will result 1, and 1 is equal to 1, it will return true. The same way. Okay. So I'll tell you a bit about if else, because it's very important to know how to write if else, when to write if else, and when to write only if statements, multiple if statements. So because we use it everywhere, like in ServiceNow or any other code, wherever we are writing, we should write if statement. So if statement generally contain, like what it expects is, if statement, like if that is right, do this. Like we can say, like if that is right, we have to do this. Like what we are trying to say here, for example, if whatever the condition here it is right, then do this. We are saying it. Okay. So here is ECMAScript 2015 specification published. We are asking for the user, which will be storing in the year. For example, I can guess it like 2020. Okay. So as I given is 2020, is 2020 equal to 2015? No, right? So it is not correct statement. So it given false. So only when this particular statement written true, then only other statements inside if will be running. Okay. So only if this gets true. So in order to get it true, I have to type 2015. So let me try, like I have typed 2020 first. So at that time we didn't get any other alert. But if I type 2015, so I'll be getting one more alert saying you are right. Okay. So only when this particular condition, whichever you wrote in this if that gets true, then only all the statements inside that particular if will be running. Okay. So what this particular if expects, so that expects Boolean values. Okay, so as it expects the Boolean values, at the end, in the result, it will try to convert everything as a result to a Boolean value. So for example, if 0 is there, it will try to convert to Boolean value. 0 of Boolean is what? It's a false. Empty string Boolean is false. So all these values are false. Okay. Apart from these, if there is anything else, then it will be a true. 1, 2, 3. In if you try to pass anything apart from these values, then uh, it will be executing that particular statement. Okay. So here, differently, what they're trying to do is they're checking here. Year is equal to 2015. That means if it is equal to, then it will be storing as true, and if it is false, the this cond variable will store false. That particular variable they are using here. Either you can write all the statement whichever it is here. Otherwise, you can directly put the otherwise you can directly put a whole condition here itself, or you can have the truthy or a falsy value, uh, which will hold this particular uh, like result. Okay. So, is there any doubts in the if? Like, I'll tell you one example here. Meanwhile, because for example, if for example, let me write something. If 2 is greater than 1, so I want to alert something. You are right. Okay. So I know 2 is greater than 1, so it will be returning true. So if it is true, then only it will be executing the statements. Not only one statement, we can have even multiple statements as well. You are right. And how are you doing? I can say, like, how many statements are inside if? All the statements will be running. So as I know 2 is greater than 1, this statement will be running. First one is you are right, and second one is how are you. Okay. So whenever if it is true, then only it will be running. For example, I have changed my decision. I am saying 2 is less than 1. Okay. We know 2 is not less than 1. That's why it's a falsy value, right? 2 is less than 1. 2 is less than 1 is written, it will return false. So I shouldn't get any output now. Okay. It should just skip these statements, whatever they are inside. Okay. So I have executed this program, but I didn't get any result. Why? Because here it's returning false. So whenever if you write any if statement that is not getting executed, that means the condition is failing. That is returning a false. Okay. So it's a small example, but how you should understand that if something is not working inside it, that means what is the condition you have kept. Okay, that is returning a false. Okay, you have to write the proper condition so that whatever inside it, that will be run. Okay. So we like I am telling that if it is 2 is greater than 1, I want to alert you are right. But even I need to say you are wrong if they type something else, right? So for example, for the same statement, I want to say you are wrong when that particular statement is wrong. Okay, then what I can write is else statement. So when else will running, when this particular else will be running is right. Whenever the if before it, so there is if, right? So if this particular if fails, only when this particular if fails, then this particular else will be running. Not every time. It won't run every time. Only when this if fails. Okay. So for example, I am saying if 2 is greater than 1, you are right. Okay. And if it is this particular value get fails, 2 is greater than 1 fails, then only I want to say you are wrong. Okay. Let me execute it. what let's predict what will be the output first. So as 2 is greater than 1, it is a truthy value. It will be it should run this particular statement, you are right. Okay, so I should get you are right as an output. So I am getting this particular output saying you are right, and whatever inside else it didn't run. As you can see, I got only you are right, I didn't get you are wrong, because if only if this particular statement gets fails, then only whatever inside else will be running. Okay, let's try to execute what is inside this particular else as well. So for that I have to give the falsy value here. Okay, falsy value means I can give 2 no, less than 1, or 2 not equals to 1. Okay, okay, 2 not equals to 1 is a truth statement. I can give 2 is less than 1. So 2 is less than 1 is false, right? So whatever inside this particular, it can be anything, any particular code inside it won't work if it is a false. So it will leave this particular block. From block means from the starting of this particular curly braces to the ending of this curly braces, it will leave whatever inside this particular block, and it will check for else. If there is else, like whatever after this, it will try to execute this particular thing. So as there is a else, so else means the above, if that fails, then it will come to else, right? So now we should get the output as you are wrong. Okay, so we got that output, right? So any doubts still here? Is anyone there, or I'm just
Yes, Sunil, we are there.
yeah, okay. So if you have any doubts, like because these basics are very important, you will struggle a lot to understand why it is failing sometimes. So you have to have these basics right, where we will be using if and where we have to use else, and which conditions those will be running. Okay, so we don't have much time, so I can tell else if also, so we can complete this for now. Okay, so we know if and we know else. Okay, when if gets executed, else won't get executed, right? So and we even have else if. That means I want to check for multiple condition, not only one condition, right? So for example, I am taking some value from the user in which year ECMAScript has been published. So if the year is 2000, like if it is less than 2015, I want to say it is too early. And if it is greater than 2015, I can say 2000, it's too late. And apart from these, if they enter anything else, like if it is not less than and not greater than, that means they have entered 2015, then I want to say exactly. So in this case, to uh, we want to execute multiple alerts based on few conditions. So for example, I can write, I'll take some input. For example, goes to prompt. So prompt will ask for any input, your age. Okay. Input. If it is less than 18, I should say input is greater than 55. Alert I want to have multiple conditions. Based on those, I want to check the eligibility of particular person. So if it is input is greater than, and I even want to check if it is between something, right? For example, he's between, it is less than 18, you are a minor. And if it is greater than, in any other case, I want to allow him. For example. Considering. So what I'm doing, I'm taking some input. Okay, what is your age? I'm asking what is your age, and whatever the user enters, that will be storing the value which is returned. That will be storing in this input, and I'm checking here if input is less than 18. So if they enter any value less than 18, then I'm saying you are minor. Here I forgot to close the brackets, and I'll just alert a pop-up saying you are a minor. So here, if this particular if got executed, so these all these blocks won't get executes if it is actually if it is less than. Okay, if for example I have entered 25, then in that case what happens? 25 is uh, greater than 55, so that even that fails. Okay, this fails and that fails. So then this particular else block will be executed. Then it says you can bring. If I enter 60, it fails here and it satisfies here. Then this particular alert, you are too old to drink, this will be getting executed. Okay, we'll try to execute this. Okay, if there is some error, let me check where it is. Here I have written, I have not written else, and any other places, bracket. Let me try to execute 1 second. Okay. So now we are asking the age. Okay. Let's give 15. Okay. 15 and clicking on OK. So only when you click on OK, this particular input will be holding the value whichever we enter. Okay. I have clicked on OK. Then as 15 is less than 18, it will this particular alert statement got executed and it says you are a minor. Okay. Once again, if I try to execute this, and it at this time I'll enter 22. Okay. So what happens if I try to enter 22? So 22 is less than 18. So it is not correct statement. At 22 is less than 18. So we know 22 is greater than 18. So it will get failed. And then it will check for the next condition. Is 22 greater than 55? No, even that is not a correct statement. So whatever the left in else, so for else we are not giving any conditions here. In any other cases, apart from these if and else, in any other cases at the last, whatever is in the else, that should run. Okay, so that's why we are writing this else. So if I give some values 22, what happens? This failed and this failed. So in else, whatever the statements we have written, that will get executed. And so now we have got you can ring as an output, as an alert, because the else got executed. Okay. So is there any doubt still here?
So Sunil, I'm having a doubt.
Okay.
So I need to execute only the first two conditions. So the third condition, like you can ring, I don't want to execute that part. I want to execute only the first three conditions or first two conditions based on the input.
So you don't want this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, what happens? Like it will check for age. For example, you gave 22. So is 22 less than 18? No, right? So it won't run this. Okay, and it will check is 22 greater than 55, even it is a false statement. So here what happens is like it won't execute any of the statement because it doesn't satisfy the condition. Let's try to execute this. And what value you want me to give here?
So it should be 80.
18.
80 or
Okay,
80. Yeah.
okay, 80 I gave. Then it is like as the second condition,
Okay.
80 is greater than 55 has been executed and it returned true. That's why whatever it is there in this particular statement, it got executed and it's saying you are too old to drink.
And Sunil, but some condition we will be using some written condition, right? At the last of the if statement, else if return.
So return we will be using in a function, not in a if else condition.
Okay.
So that I'll tell you when we use return, that will be coming when we know about functions. So we didn't came till there.
Okay, okay, sir. Thanks.
So here only if you write if and else if, what happens is like here it will try to check uh, like is it a true statement or not, and here also it will try to check is it true statement or not. So if it finds a true statement first, then it will executing that particular value. So here as we have entered 80, is 80 less than 18? No, right? Then it will try to check here, is 80 greater than 55? Yes, 80 is greater than 55. So we got the output saying you are too old to drink. So we have to understand how this code works so that we can write exact proper code whenever we are writing the code. Okay. So as there is no else condition, so we might get some invalid inputs as well. What I can say, invalid means uh, like I have entered, for example, 25 or something. So is 25 less than 18? No. Is 25 greater than 55? No, right? So there is, so these two conditions failed. So, and we don't even have else here. So this failed and this failed. So whatever the statements in this if and else if, those don't run, so we won't get any output now. So are you getting like how this code is executing?
Yes, Sunil.
Yeah. So we have written only one else if here. We can write multiple else if as well. So let me add one more else if. If you specifically want to check if it is between something, then you can use else ifs as well. Okay. If it is, for example, what I can say, if input is, we have actually we shouldn't check here. Let me add this else if. And here I'll say if input is less than 25 or if it is less than 40, I want to say you can drink. So first I'm checking if input is less than 18, you are a minor, and as we already uh, made like removed this condition, if it is less than 18, then this particular statement will run. Okay, but for example, if he has entered 25, it will be failing, and this particular condition will be executing, and it will say it will return true because 25 is less than 40. Then we can say you can drink. Okay, in else if it is greater than 55, then we can say you are too old to drink. Instead of 40 here, in order to make valid, we can say input is less than or equal to 55. So we can cover all the cases between from 0 to 100, because are you getting? So here we are checking if it is less than 18, you are a minor, and if it is less than or equal to 55, that means anything which is between 18 to 55, because we have already removed all the people which are less than 18, it will be running, and between 18 to 55 will be coming to here. For example, it might be 25 or 40. So 40 is less than or equal to 55, then we will say you can drink, right? If it is not less than or 55, then it can be 60 or 80, then we can say you are too old to drink. So let me enter something like 33. Okay. So as I have entered something between 18 to 55, I'm saying you can drink. So it is similar to else here, but here we are restricting, like even in else statement we have given the same kind of conditions, but here we have written using else if. Okay, because who are all or less than 18, we are removing all them here, and if it is less than like 55 and greater than 18 will come here. Okay, so any doubts here to use multiple else ifs? You should understand this particular code, then only you can write if else ifs more. Okay, any doubt here? Okay, so we can continue the class tomorrow.
Thank you.
Um,